Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Roughly 90% of the United States is now under stay-at-home orders. There are more than 245,000 confirmed coronavirus cases across the nation, more than 1 million worldwide. CBS's Naomi Ruckham is in New York to begin our coverage.
The Zaandam and Rotterdam docked in South Florida after being held offshore for days. While some passengers were rushed to the hospital, others who test positive or show coronavirus symptoms will be kept on board for further evaluation. Passenger Val Minty says she couldn't wait for it to be over.
We are on pins and needles, and we're so excited about it.
Worldwide, more than 1 million coronavirus cases have now been reported. In hard-hit New York, healthcare workers are speaking out about the shortage of personal protective gear, such as gowns and masks.
Every day when I go to work, I feel like a sheep going to slaughter. My colleagues and I are writing our last will and testament. I'm 28 years old.
New York Mayor Bill de Blasio urged everyone to shield their faces when leaving home using a bandana or scarf or other protective clothing, and not to use much-needed medical masks.
You can make it with stuff that's already in your house. You don't need something that a first responder or a healthcare worker needs.
Governor Andrew Cuomo said the state could run out of ventilators within 6 days.
I don't think the federal government is in a position to provide ventilators to the extent the nation may need them.
The Jacob Javits Convention Center in Manhattan will now be used for coronavirus patients only. President Trump approved the move. The president also announced new federal recommendations for nursing homes, including keeping healthy and sick residents in separate areas. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Democratic Party leaders have decided to push July's national convention in Milwaukee to mid-August because of the pandemic. Here in Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear announced 100 new cases today. The total is now 770 in Kentucky. 11 deaths were also reported, the worst day so far, including the first one in the WYMT coverage area in Pulaski County. That brings Kentucky's death toll to 31. That's the most deaths, as I said, announced in one day in Kentucky as Kentuckians continue to work to flatten the curve. And as we show you every night, here's a look at the counties where we know we have positive cases. As more testing is performed, the governor believes more of those counties will turn red. Starting tomorrow, Kentucky state parks will no longer be open for overnight stays. That includes campgrounds and lodges. Parks will still be open during the day, but Governor Beshear says that's only if people keep their distance. The governor has also called on all schools to remain closed through at least May 1st. Tennessee's Governor Bill Lee says he will sign an executive order requiring all Tennesseans to stay home unless carrying out essential activities. The governor says the threat to public health is also growing more acute.
We're asking businesses to act responsibly and not put public health at risk, and we expect that they'll do that. I want to take a moment to speak directly to every Tennessean. April stands to be a very tough month for our state. COVID-19 is an imminent threat, and we need you to understand that staying home isn't an option. It's a requirement for the swift defeat of COVID-19 in Tennessee.
The volunteer state now has more than 2,800 cases of COVID-19. Today, Governor Andy Beshear in Kentucky added a new caveat to his travel restrictions for non-Kentuckians. Anybody who travels into Kentucky from out of state must quarantine in place for 14 days before they can travel again. A curfew is now in place for Clay Countyans 18 and younger. They need to be at home and indoors by 9 each night and cannot leave until 6 a.m. Now, this does not apply if they are with a parent or are traveling for work.
Well, I'm still here in my guest guest room testing out this guest weather. Hopefully we can make it through one more newscast here. So far technology has worked, knock on some wood. But as we head into tonight, we'll continue to see those beautiful conditions. Starting to get a little bit chilly out there, but we're seeing those clear skies. We'll go ahead and take you up to Interstate 75 though, over into Mount Vernon, where it's been a nice and quiet day over there. You can see just kind of calmer conditions. And I can't get over how green the grass is starting to look in a lot of places here in eastern Kentucky. That's because from all that rain from back in March. Satellite and radar has been very, very quiet for tonight. Saw high clouds earlier today, but really looking at those clear skies tonight, which will create some frosty conditions. There is actually a frost advisory out for areas up into West Virginia that actually does Lawrence County, Kentucky, also in our area. Temperatures right now into about the 40s if you're looking down into the Cumberland Valley. Lower 50s though if you're up into that big sandy region. For tonight, we'll be dropping into about the upper 30s to lower 40s. I think a lot of us, especially the valleys, could definitely get a little bit cooler as we head into tonight, and we'll hang on to a few clouds here and there. But as we head into the next couple of days, sunshine continues, especially as we head into the weekend. Temperatures will be on the rise as we head into the weekend as well. And we'll add a few more scattered rain chances maybe on your Sunday. And as we head into the new week, I'll have more of that forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. As we are seeing parks across the state close, Letcher County recently shut down their Bad Branch Falls hiking trail, a very popular attraction in the county. WYMT's Connor James talked with the judge executive about it today.
The springtime in Kentucky brings beautiful sights to the mountains. In Letcher County, there's no exception. Many people come to Pine Mountain to experience places like Bad Branch Falls, a natural waterfall near the Harlan-Letcher County line. Except now the gates to the park stay closed.
This time of year, go and hike Bad Branch Falls, and it's beautiful up there.
That's Letcher County's Judge Executive Terry Adams, who's hiked those trails plenty of times.
They've initially closed the gates, and there's no access to Bad Branch Falls right now.
Tuesday afternoon, the Kentucky Nature Preserve closed down those trails to the falls after a weekend of packed parking lots.
You know, we kind of felt like that they couldn't be practicing social distancing there.
There are places still open, though. Adams says the scenic overlooks on Pine Mountain are open, and Fish Pond Lake is open to fishers and walkers.
The parks, everyone was concerned about the health of the people, and just trying to limit this spread of this virus that has turned our world upside down.
The county still has 0 cases, but officials say it's just a matter of time, and taking these precautions now counts. In Letcher County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Adams did add that they do have that one person per store rule. If you do have a child you have to bring in, they need to stay in the shopping cart. Many other counties have added that rule in the last couple of days. Well, people across the mountains are finding ways to lift up frontline health workers. Outside St. Joseph, London, someone put these signs outside reading, "Heroes work here." Possibly no truer words can be spoken right now about our healthcare workers. School districts try to keep kids fed while they are at home during this outbreak. At Roy Jefferson Elementary in Hazard, they serve breakfast and lunch 5 days a week. They have drive-through sites at the schools, bus drivers delivering meals on bus routes, and 5 bus stop locations. Commissioner of Agriculture Ryan Quarles even stopped by today to join the effort and says it is imperative that kids keep their bellies full.
Just because kids are learning at home doesn't mean you don't have access to food. And we want to make sure that if you have a child learning at home, that you can pick up school breakfast and lunch from your local school district.
Some days kids get an additional item in their bag to help them at home, including pencils and a toothbrush. The school district plans on giving out meals for the weekend starting Friday. Since COVID-19 closed all schools and daycares, many parents are finding themselves at home with their children. So how can parents keep them occupied? Model City Head Start in Pikeville turned to Facebook Live to give meal and craft ideas and stay connected with their kids. WYMT's Emily Bennett gives us a look.
Today we are going to be making a breakfast casserole.
This is Amber Hunter's new normal.
It's been definitely a learning process. I had never went live before this.
Hunter is a family advocate for Model City Head Start.
Looking good.
and she turned to Facebook Live to stay connected with her families.
We thought that being able to help them to cook a good, cost-efficient, budget-friendly meal would be a great thing, and we kind of want to use that so they'll tune in and they can see information that we need to relay to them.
Each day she cooks a meal and demonstrates a craft.
We provide these activities hoping that the parents will do them with their children so they'll have something to do and your children are not bored.
Hoping these crafts help the children continue to develop motor skills.
We don't want them to lose these skills over time by not being in school. We want them to stay ready. That way when they move on to kindergarten that they are as ready as any other child there.
Helping parents bond with their children and keep them on a schedule.
When their schedule is off, they can cause them to have anxiety and fear, and we don't want that. We're trying to stay connected, have a schedule, and help the kids get through it as best as they can.
Trying to create a new normal through this pandemic. In Pike County, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
You can find the Facebook Lives on Model City Head Start's Facebook page. Hunter tries to do them at noon every day. At the end of today's news conference by Governor Andy Beshear, he played a new public service announcement by Shaping Our Appalachian Region, or SOAR, and you might notice some familiar faces.
There's a lot of attention on COVID-19. That's why it's important to stay aware and not afraid.
It is important to follow the advice of local, state, and federal public health agencies.
Happy home!
And healthy at home.
Practice social distancing.
Just as I tell my students, wash your hands often, and if nobody's told you today, you're amazing.
Our ability to overcome this pandemic is not about any one of us,
but all of us working together.
As a part of Team Kentucky, you are not only protecting me,
you are protecting me.
And me.
We will get through this.
We will get through this.
Together.
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 Appalachia, Kentucky, we're in this together.
That PSA will be airing here on WYMT, and I was honored to be asked to be a part of it. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, a Georgia community has now surpassed the New York City rate for patients per population. Find out how it is dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak.
And sunshine and warmer temperatures continue as we head into the Friday and into your weekend. I'll have that full 7-day forecast coming up.